the esteemed Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. Dr. Kunjufu, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Wonderful.
It's always good to see you.
To see you.
Don't burn out.
I won't. You don't burn out. I worry about you. You're all over the country. Every time I open a pamphlet or a magazine, Dr. Kunjufu is speaking somewhere. I mean, busy schedule, really busy out there, keeping real busy. You probably one of the preeminent voices, in my opinion, on the issue of race and where America as a country needs to go. Give me, in your opinion, because we've had probably a decade or so of black awareness, of black pride, of the new black renaissance. We have of course, a lot of people talking about getting more in contact with their cultural roots, their cultural heritage throughout the African American community all over the country. You see it. How much change is really being affected in the country amongst the masses, the pockets, the people? In your opinion, I consider you a really good person to talk to this about.
That's a tough question because we struggle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and rulers in high places. So the enemy has gotten better. I mean, there's more guns in our community, there's more crack, more Ritalin, more children being placed in special education, more prisons being built. So on the one hand, the enemy has gotten better. But as you and I know, over the past decade, we've increased the number of role model or 100 black men programs. We have almost 1,000 role model 100 black men programs. Over 375 rites of passage programs. About 116 independent black schools. Numerous conferences and workshops to strategize on what we can do, especially to enhance the situations for African American males. So while we've gotten better, so has the enemy. And so we have to continue to persevere.
So right here is a standoff right about now? And what would be the determining factor to be able to tilt it in the positive side as opposed to the negative?
Yeah, you're being nice. A standoff, I like to see it 5-5. I think right now, unfortunately, it's still winning because they control our youth. The billboards, you watch these rap videos. And remember that phrase, I didn't know I was poor until I started watching television? Well, what is it like in 1999 to be a 16-year-old black male living in poverty conditions, watching these videos with these immaculate mansions, and all you have to do, I guess, is be a rapper, a drug dealer, or a ball player, and you can live large. So that's what our youth are struggling with.
But obviously those are the things that the American society wants to glean from our population because they can use those best and profit from those best. How do we actually, I guess, capture the imagination of the masses, and what would that prescription be? I mean, what are you saying to people as you go around the country, things they need to be doing personally in their families and in their communities?
Well, it used to be the greatest influence on our youth was the home, followed by school, and then church. Now it's peer pressure first, rap second, and television third. So adults have got to do three things. One, we have to do a better job of working with peer pressure. One of my earlier books is titled To Be Popular or Smart, the Black Peer
Still one of my favorites. I speak from it all the time.
And you know, it hurts me is, you know, when our youth associate being smart with being white, many of our youth value what their friends think of them far more than what their parents think of them.
Of course.
So which means that parents have to know their children's friends, have to invite them over, have to encourage them to believe in cooperative learning. What the Asians do, where they study together. So we will never be able to eliminate peer pressure. What we need to do is make sure that peer pressure is reinforcing the kind of values that we're looking for. Same thing with rap. I think some adults thought rap was going to go away. It is not. What we need to do is realize not every rapper is a gangster rapper. There's some rappers out there that are Afrocentric. Kirk Franklin that believes in gospel rap and significance of that. So we need to use rap to reinforce the kind of values that we're talking about. And the same thing with regards to the media.
But that's an interesting message, though, because I hear Kirk Franklin receiving so much flack for what he's attempting to do. I mean,
but not from the youth.
Not from the youth. But in many ways, he reaches more people for God, in my opinion, than probably any pastor any week.
It's that old guard, you know, the traditionalists that feel that this is not praising our Lord and Savior, which I just don't think is true. But let me get to another quick thing, and that's that if in most communities, the group that's causing the greatest problems in our community are 12 to 19-year-old males, that's the group least represented in church. And so Kirk and other people like him.
Most represented in prison.
Right, and so if gospel rap can get the ear of 12 to 19-year-old brothers, I think he's made a great contribution.
I agree. But speaking of the prison, so you were talking about being, I guess, what was Iowa or some
Right,
area
and
where
we're only 2% of the
2%
population in Iowa, get 25% of the penal population. As you know, in Orlando, we don't build schools or factories. We build prisons and stadiums for 8 home games.
Right.
So we really have to address this penal population. It would be a state of emergency if 1 of every 3 white males were in the penal institution.
I agree.
But in our community, we still don't seem to understand that yet. And Clarence Thomas doesn't get it either with regards to crack and cocaine. You can have a white boy in possession of 499 grams of cocaine, slap on the wrist, homework assignment. You and I in possession of 5 grams of crack, mandatory sentence.
Okay. So what you're saying is at least part of it is not a behavioral problem, it's an enforcement problem. Because I believe if you enforce heavier in one area,
Correct.
and create laws specifically designed to enforce
Correct.
in that area,
Correct.
you're going to end up with a disproportionate number of that population that you're
Correct.
targeting. You wrote a book called The Conspiracy
To destroy black boys.
Black boys. But tell us a little bit about your philosophy about that conspiracy, how you see that conspiracy. Is this the CIA, Illuminati stuff that we hear some of the other leaders talk about, or exactly what is your idea of the conspiracy? Because I hear, and let me be real specific, because I hear people talking about this force that they feel against them, but don't quite understand exactly what that force is. And then also, if you can, what's the anecdote?
Well, how long do we have? We got 8 hours. Because this conspiracy covers a lot of areas. My major concern, though, was I just felt our community was responding too late. It's easy to recognize a problem when they're 18 to 35. What I wanted to look at was, look at our boys in kindergarten. They sit in the front of the class, they're eager, they're curious, they're on task. Stay in that same building around 4th grade, they begin to sit further in the back of the class, asking less questions, no longer interested in learning. By 8th or 9th grade, they're ready to drop out. So I just felt that since we have limited resources, what we need to do is to allocate more resources before the problem starts, ideally speaking between kindergarten and 3rd or 4th grade. I'm concerned about the fact that over 80% of the African American children in special ed are male. About 71% of the remedial reading students that are African American are male. And I just don't think that that's an accident. The sad thing is that the future of our race lies in the hands of white female teachers. White girls are placed in special education the least. African American males the greatest. And I just don't think they realize that boys and girls have different...
I just don't know you have the common enough experiences to even...
Exactly. And we have very few black male teachers.
Okay, good. I've always wondered that, just kind of shifting gears, I'll come back to some of the other stuff.
We got to run. We got to run.
Okay. Well, let me just what motivates you? I mean, I consider you one of the preeminent voices on this particular issue in the country, and I do hear a lot about you. I've seen on Oprah. You've been on some national forums, but I just thought that they could do more to plug into what you're talking about, what you're writing about. I mean, I find it to be very much on target. Why is that not happening? Again, because I think it must have been about 5-6 years ago when we originally met and did some things together. Or am I mistaken? Are you receiving the attention of people listening to the message that you're bringing as well as they could?
What's unfortunate is that really we only have one national television station, and that's BET. And there was a time when we only had the news on BET on Fridays. For a half hour, and they were going to discontinue that. Remember, Our Voices used to be on every day for an hour, and then they cut that, and then they had the news for that half hour, and they were going to cut that, and then we just...
That was Bob Johnson's decision.
That's correct, right. And he says that the ratings are nowhere near what they are for those news shows versus the videos. And so we're just singing and dancing ourselves, to sleep. But the community uproar was just so strong that they decided to create BET Talk with Tavis Smiley. So now it's on 4 nights a week, and so I've been on there several times. But I don't want to point fingers at Oprah, but as you know, it was Donahue that had Farrakhan on. And Francis Welsing, and Naeem Akbar. Oprah's audience, she feels, are white females. So it's been very difficult for us to get our movement to be shared with Oprah and Montel, who you would think there would be a better affinity towards
You would think.
than some other people.
But what motivates you though? What keeps you going though? You've been doing this for a long time.
The Lord,
Okay.
the fact that I've been blessed. I have a strong father. My mother just passed. I believe to whom much is given, much is required. I've read my history. I think often about what would Marcus Garvey or Frederick Douglass or Du Bois or Malcolm or Martin. I mean, you know, I anguished thinking about King and Malcolm on their last days, knowing they were going to die. I mean, I've been blessed now to be 46 years of age. They died at 39. I mean, to think about they were so young and did so much. I mean, the least we could do, since we've had a few more years than they, is to give back to our communities.
Dr. Njufu, you inspire me. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you.
I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I need to know, why are you supporting this event today? Why are you here today?
Okay.
Okay, just keep rolling. Okay, so why come to the National Parenting Conference? What does this mean to you, this entire event, and your impressions of the event?
Well, I mentioned earlier that the future of our children lies in the hands of white female teachers. Well, if that's true, then that means that African American parents are going to have to spend a lot more time with their children. So I'm honored to be here because I think that parents have a major stake in the education of their children. And it hurts me when I'm at a PTA program to speak, and it should have been 300 parents there. Only 5 parents show up. We've got to find ways to empower parents. I think that the work that Maisha Gibson is doing, is only 3 years old.
Right.
Fantastic sister with a real vision to organize parents on a national level to empower them. You know, when you hear parents say things like, I'm just a parent, they need to realize that
no such thing, right?
And that they have our children far more than 180 days for the school system. They have our children 18 years, 24 hours, 7 days a week. But where in America do you learn how to be a parent? So for many of us, it's trial and error, how our parents raised us.
Right.
Some of us, when we were 18, we raised one child one way. We were 25, did it another way.
Okay.
When I was with one man, I parented one way. So we really have to help parents to realize that the future of our race lies in their hands, especially mothers with their sons.
Okay.
I mean, when the daddies don't stay, I mean, I wish I could just lock the parents in for a week to work on that issue, especially since black women seem to be experts on what black men don't do. Well, we know so much about what black men don't do. We need to correct those problems with their sons.
With the sons, okay,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. So that's why we're here.
It's a great opportunity.
That's why we're here.
Thanks again, Dr.
Thank you.
All
God
right,
bless.
bye-bye. Okay. Debra, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you. Good, thanks.
Looking great. Things are going well. Tell me about all the phenomenal success that you've had and your reaction to it. And I promise not to ask you, how did you get here? Like every time I hear an interview with somebody says, how did you get here? And I'm like, listen, she's got to be tired of that. So I won't do that. Or I'll try not to. But,
Okay.
But your reaction to your success.
It's just been an incredible blessing. A lot of people have given me a tremendous amount of support with this album, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm learning to enjoy it more every day. You know, as much as there's a lot of hard work that I put in, I'm starting to really, you know, just slowly take time to exhale and look at all of the positive things that are happening around me.
You mentioned the word hard work, and I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of us sit on the other side of the camera like, yeah, right, because we see you like in these glamorous scenes.
Right.
Tell me about the hard work part of the business. What's so hard about
Well,
the
a lot
work?
of people see the shows and they don't understand how much preparation and how much rehearsal goes into the shows. Like a show that I'm doing today, for instance, 45 minutes. I mean, there's quite a bit of time and effort that goes into putting the songs together, making sure that the choreography is together. So I mean, I like preparation. I don't like to be.
Because a lot of people think you
caught
just kind
off
of walk
guard.
out and do it. You can just
Yeah.
pop it off like that.
I mean,
it's not like that.
If a situation has, calls for that, then you do it. But most of the time, I like to be very, very prepared.
Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. Now, you sang commercials at 12. What type of commercials? And
I
what was
did
your
a lot of the
What was your
commercial
favorite
jingles.
commercial? You remember anything in particular jumps out at you? Can you sing it for us?
Mazda commercial,
Mazda.
car commercial.
It was a long one.
It
Was
wasn't
anything-
long.
okay.
It was pretty short.
Anything we remember? So then you went from there, okay? And then shortly
Started writing songs in high school and just putting together different song demos. And I shopped them to different record companies. I hooked up with a producer who also lived in the same city that I did. And we just shopped the tapes and
Okay.
finally got responses from
Okay, so
few
the hard
record
work started
companies.
out very early then. So
Yeah.
But then immediately after, or shortly after high school, I mean, you had a contract with Arista Records,
Yeah.
and you were working with Babyface Edmonds. I mean,
Yeah.
that must have been like,
You know,
whoa.
it's funny.
You know?
The saying says, you know, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And that was exactly what happened. I said to myself, well, if I don't get a chance to really, if I don't get a chance to write my own material, then I got to have Babyface or, the best of the best on the record.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened.
Okay, a little apprehension at the beginning working with artists of that caliber. I mean, you had some really heavyweights on your first project.
I was a little apprehensive because I didn't quite know what to expect. It was my first recording experience. I'd never worked with, a record producer before, like a Babyface, so it was intimidating more than, more than being apprehensive. But once I got into the studio and started working with them, they were very, very easy to work with and made me feel very, very comfortable.
Okay, I think last time I saw you in Orlando, you were with the Girls Night Out tour.
Yeah.
It was Faith,
Monica,
Shanice, and
Shanice,
Monica. How was that?
That was fun. It was a lot of
this
fun.
feminine energy there. I remember I saw you in the Virgin Megastore. People wrapped around the store.
Yeah.
And those feminine energy. That must have been fun.
It was.
How was
it
the tour?
was. It was great. Well, I mean, we didn't tour. We
Just
just did that one
particular
show.
night?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a special and indeed a special occasion because all of us are all doing, our own thing, and we never see each other unless
Okay.
it's an award show or something like that.
So you had to plan this to kind of pull us all together.
Oh, yeah.
It would never happen just kind of by accident, obviously.
No, not
Too
by
much
accident.
going on. Too much on the plate.
Yeah.
The Arista family, tell me about that. Tell me about working with Clive Davis and all those great people.
Clive is extremely supportive. He's been supportive since the first day I met him. He has a great passion for the music, and it's very, very rare that you see a record executive like himself actually get in there and do the music and really, produce the music. He, puts together all the producers and makes sure that everything from the production end to the image,
I mean,
all of
the
that.
total
He makes,
package.
he makes sure that the total
That's
package
why
is
Arista's been
together.
on top so long, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a little plug for the company.
Yeah.
Tell me about growing up in Canada. I mean, soul music, R&B music, Canada doesn't seem to work for us like, in the southern
Yeah,
part
you
of
do.
North America. We just didn't know that was going on up there. What's it like?
I listened to a lot of my parents' records. That's where my first exposure to R&B music, soul music came from. There's one station that out of Buffalo, New York, that we get a feed from, and so that was my other source of what was happening, at the
So
time.
not a lot of homegrown African American culture in Canada.
There's a lot of black culture in Canada.
Okay.
It's primarily from the West Indian descent. A lot of Jamaicans, Guyanese, which is where my background is, Trinidadians. But as far as in the music, the industry is really still growing.
Okay, well, here at the National Parenting Conference, tell me about your parents and your upbringing. What was that like?
My
and
parents.
I do understand you have a very strong faith-driven message. Can you tell us
Yeah, I
about
have
that
a
too?
very strong Christian values, and my parents really just instilled in me, self-respect, to go for whatever your heart desires, and to not be intimidated or feel, like you can't accomplish your dream. And I was very, very fortunate to have both of my parents very, very supportive of whatever it is I decided to do. And music was one choice that I made at a very early age, and I had their blessing, so I'm very, very fortunate in that respect.
Okay. And how does that tie into what you'd like to say to people here at the National Parenting Conference? I mean, I want to go, how did you get here? I almost did it, but why are you here? I mean,
I'm here to,
what's
support the
message?
cause, support McDonald's, and support, basically, I'm here to celebrate the parents who are a great example for their children. And, you're seeing a lot of children around here with the little life-size babies. And I think it's a really good experiment to just let a child understand the responsibility of rearing up another human being. It's not as easy as it looks. So, I'm here to just lend my
And that seems to be a part
support.
of your image as well. You seem to really want to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, to be a really good role model for young women, because there
Absolutely.
are counter images